The words hit me like a punch to the gut, but it was the laughter that really cut deep. My own son, standing there in his designer suit at my granddaughter's college graduation party, announcing to a room full of his country club friends that I wouldn't be invited to the ceremony tomorrow because, and I quote, having the school janitor on stage would be embarrassing for Emma's future career. Emma, my granddaughter, the girl I'd raised half the time because my son Michael and his wife were too busy climbing the corporate ladder. She stood there, champagne glass in hand, and said nothing. Just looked away. That was 6 months ago. Let me back up. My name is Robert Hayes. I'm 62 years old, and for the past 37 years, I've been a custodian at Riverside Preparatory Academy in Connecticut. You know, the type of place old money, newer money trying to look like old money, and parents who donate buildings to get their kids' names on acceptance letters. My son Michael graduated from there in 1995. So did Emma, just last spring. I started at Riverside in 1987, right after my wife Sarah died. Ovarian cancer. She was only 34, Michael was 12, angry, and suddenly I was a widowed father, working 2 jobs to keep our heads above water. The night custodian position at Riverside paid better than my day job at the hardware store, so I took it. Worked 7 to 3 at the store, 3:30 to midnight at the school. Slept when I could. Michael never forgave me for not being at his basketball games, his academic awards, his debate tournaments. He never understood that I was there in different ways. Every college I visited with him, every application fee, every textbook that all came from those overnight shifts mopping floors while trust fund kids left their trash everywhere. By the time Michael graduated high school and headed to Yale, I'd worked my way up to head custodian, day shift, better hours, better pay, and something I didn't tell anyone, access to information. See, when you're invisible to rich people, you hear things. Board meetings about budget allocations, parents arguing about stock portfolios in empty hallways, students complaining about their parents' investments over lunch in the courtyard. I started paying attention, started learning. In 1997, I bought 50 shares of a little company called Amazon for $18 a share, used my Christmas bonus. Michael laughed when I told him, "Dad, nobody's going to buy books on the computer. Focus on saving for retirement instead of gambling." I didn't tell him about the other investments after that. Michael met Catherine at Yale. Old money, Connecticut family, the kind who summered in Martha's Vineyard and wintered in Aspen. Catherine's father made it clear from the start that his daughter was marrying beneath her station. But Michael was handsome, ambitious, and had gotten into Harvard Law, so they tolerated it. Catherine tolerated me even less. The first time she came to my small 3-bedroom house in the working-class part of town, I saw her wrinkle her nose at my furniture from Goodwill, my dishes from Walmart. She called me Robert in this clipped tone. Never, Dad. Certainly never anything warmer. When Emma was born in 2003, Catherine made it clear that while I was welcome to babysit, I should keep my blue-collar lifestyle separate from their social circles. I didn't mind. Emma was worth it. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd pick Emma up from her private kindergarten, still wearing my Riverside custodian uniform. The other nannies, because that's what I was competing with, professional nannies, would give me pitying looks. Emma didn't care. She'd run to me, small hands covered in paint or glitter, chattering about her day. "Grandpa Bobby, we learned about the solar system today. Did you know Saturn has rings?" "I did know that. Sweet pea. Did you know some of those rings are made of ice?" Her eyes would go wide. "Really? Like ice cubes?" Those were good years. Emma and I had our routines. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, every other weekend, all summer, while Michael and Catherine worked or traveled or did whatever it was important people did. We'd go to the library, the park, the community pool. I taught her to ride a bike in my driveway, helped her with her homework at my kitchen table. I never told her that her parents paid me to babysit. $50 a day, like I was just another employee. I saved every penny in a separate account for her college fund. As Emma got older and started at Riverside Preparatory, our relationship changed. She was embarrassed to be seen with me in my uniform. I understood. Middle school is cruel, and having your grandfather empty the trash cans in your classroom isn't exactly social currency. But she'd still come to my house on Tuesdays and Thursdays, still call me Grandpa Bobby when no one else was around. She'd do her homework while I made dinner, nothing fancy. Spaghetti or tacos or grilled cheese, and we'd watch Jeopardy together. She always beat me at the science questions. Grandpa, how do you not know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell? We learned that in 6th grade. Well, sweet pea, when I went to school, we were still using typewriters and encyclopedias. She'd laugh. God, I loved her laugh. Michael's career took off. He made partner at his firm by 40, started pulling in 7 figures. They bought a house in the best part of Greenwich, joined the yacht club, hired a chef. Emma got a new iPhone every year, a new car for her 16th birthday, a closet full of designer clothes. And slowly, I became an inconvenience. The Tuesday and Thursday pickups stopped when Emma turned 14. She's old enough to stay home alone now, Robert, Catherine informed me over the phone. And frankly, we'd prefer she spend more time with her tutors and less time in your neighborhood. The every other weekend visits became once a month, then holidays only, then just Christmas and Thanksgiving, and even those were strained. At Thanksgiving 2022, I arrived at their house mansion. Really, 8,000 square feet of marble and pretension still in my work clothes because I'd come straight from my shift. Catherine met me at the door. Robert, we have guests from the club coming. I've set up a plate for you in the kitchen. The staff will show you where to eat. The staff. They had staff now, and I was to eat with them, not at the family table. I stayed for an hour, said hello to Emma, who was glued to her phone, hugged Michael, who patted my back like I was a stranger, and left. I spent Thanksgiving eating a turkey sandwich alone in my living room, watching the Patriots game. That was fine. I'd been alone before. What I didn't tell them, what I never told anyone, was that by 2022, my portfolio had grown to just over $4 million. Those Amazon shares I'd bought in 1,997, they'd split 4 times and were worth over 200,000. The Apple stock I'd purchased in 2003, another 300,000. The rental property I'd bought in a struggling neighborhood in 2008 when the market crashed, now worth 800,000, generating 4,500 a month in rent. I lived in my same small house, drove my 2010 Honda Civic, wore the same Riverside uniform. I didn't need them to know. Money doesn't buy you respect from people who've decided you're beneath them, but it can buy you options. In 2023, Riverside launched a capital campaign. They needed $15 million for a new STEM center. The headmaster, Dr. Patricia Morrison, called a special assembly. I was there in the back, emptying recycling bins, invisible as always. We're asking our community to step up, Dr. Morrison said. This facility will put Riverside at the forefront of preparatory education. We need visionaries, philanthropists, people who believe in investing in the future. I watched the board members in the front row, the parents with their checkbooks ready, the students who'd walk through that new building without ever thinking about who made it possible. That night, I called Dr. Morrison's office and made an appointment under a pseudonym. Met with her the following week, dressed in the one suit I owned, the one I'd bought for Sarah's funeral 35 years ago. I'd like to make a donation to the STEM Center, I told her. $2 million. Anonymous. One condition, there should be a scholarship fund attached to it. Full ride for students pursuing careers in STEM fields, regardless of their family's financial background. And I'd like it named the Sarah Hayes Memorial Scholarship. Dr. Morrison nearly dropped her coffee. Mr. Hayes, this is... I don't know what to say. Are you certain? I'm certain. My late wife always believed education was the great equalizer. She'd want students to have opportunities, not obstacles. The donation was processed through my financial advisor, completely anonymous except for the scholarship name. The STEM Center broke ground that fall. Emma never knew her grandfather had paid for a quarter of it. The graduation party incident happened in May 2024, the day before Emma was set to graduate as valedictorian. Michael had rented out the country club, invited 200 of his closest friends and business associates. I came in through the back entrance, as instructed by Catherine's event planner. Emma was holding court near the champagne fountain, talking about her acceptance to MIT, her plans to major in biomedical engineering, her summer internship at a pharmaceutical company. I was so proud of her. I waited for a quiet moment to say hello. That's when Michael found me. Dad, what are you doing here? You invited me, son. The invitation said 6 o'clock. Right. Yes, but... He lowered his voice. I need to talk to you about tomorrow. The graduation ceremony. Emma's going to be giving the valedictorian speech. And there's a reception afterward with some very important people. People who could help her career, her future. I'm aware, Michael. I've been looking forward to seeing her speak. He looked uncomfortable. Catherine appeared beside him, her face tight. Robert, she said, not bothering with warmth. What Michael is trying to say is that we think it might be best if you watched from home. We'll have it recorded for you. The words didn't register at first. I don't understand. Michael sighed. Dad, Emma's going to be networking with venture capitalists, tech CEOs, admissions officers from grad schools, having the school janitor there. It sends the wrong message about her background. I'm not the school janitor. I'm her grandfather. You're both, Catherine said coldly. And tomorrow, the latter is less important than the impression we're trying to make. I looked past them to Emma, who'd stopped talking to her friends and was watching our conversation. Our eyes met. I waited for her to say something, to protest, to tell them this was wrong. She turned away. I see, I said quietly. Well, I wouldn't want to embarrass anyone. I left through the back entrance, the same way I'd come in. Drove home in silence. Sat in my living room, in the dark. The next morning, I called Dr. Morrison. Patricia, it's Robert Hayes. I need to ask you a favor. Graduation day at Riverside was beautiful. Sunny, 72 degrees, a light breeze. Families filled the lawn in front of the historic main building, the one built in 1904 by railroad money. I watched the live stream from my living room, same as I'd watched Emma's dance recitals and soccer games and debate competitions when I wasn't invited. Emma gave her speech. She was brilliant, poised, talking about innovation and responsibility and the future of medicine. She thanked her parents, her teachers, her mentors. She didn't mention me. That was fine. I hadn't expected her to. Dr. Morrison took the podium after the diplomas were distributed. Before we conclude, she said, I want to take a moment to recognize someone who has been a cornerstone of our community for nearly 4 decades. Someone who has shown up every single day, rain or shine, to make sure our students have a clean, safe, welcoming environment to learn in. I sat up straighter. Robert Hayes has been our head custodian for 37 years. What many of you don't know is that Robert is also one of this school's most generous benefactors. The Sarah Hayes Memorial Scholarship, which provides full-ride scholarships to students pursuing STEM careers, was established by Robert in memory of his late wife. Additionally, the new STEM Center that will open this fall was made possible in large part by Robert's anonymous $2 million donation. I watched the screen as the camera panned across the crowd. I saw Michael's face go pale. Catherine's mouth literally fell open. Emma looked confused, then shocked, then like she might cry. Robert couldn't be with us today, Dr. Morrison continued, but I wanted to make sure his contributions were recognized. Robert, if you're watching, thank you. Thank you for your service, your generosity, and your unwavering commitment to our students. The crowd applauded. I turned off the TV. My phone started ringing 5 minutes later. Michael. I let it go to voicemail. Catherine. Voicemail. Emma. I answered that one. Grandpa Bobby? Her voice was small. Is it true? Every word, Sweet Pea. I didn't know. I didn't. They told me you couldn't come because you had to work. I did have to work. I had something more important to do. Silence. Then quietly, I'm so sorry. I know you are, Emma. I hope you have a wonderful time at MIT. I hung up. The next 3 weeks were a blur of phone calls I didn't answer, text messages I didn't read, a voicemail from Michael that started with Dad. We need to talk about your financial situation and make sure you're not being taken advantage of. That one made me laugh. Then Emma showed up at my door. It was a Tuesday, 3 weeks after graduation. She was alone. No parents, no friends. She'd been crying. Can I come in, Grandpa? I made her tea. We sat at my kitchen table, the same one where she'd done her homework for years. They told me not to come here. she said. Mom said you were trying to manipulate me, that the donation was a way to make them look bad. What do you think? She was quiet for a long time. I think I've been a terrible granddaughter. I think I let them make me ashamed of you, and that's the worst thing I've ever done. You were young, Emma. Kids want to fit in. I'm 18 now, old enough to know better. She looked around my kitchen, at the same old furniture, the same dishes, the same clock on the wall. All this time, you had millions of dollars, and you lived like this. Why? Because this is enough for me. I don't need granite countertops and a 6-car garage to be happy. I needed to know you were taken care of, that you'd have opportunities. That was enough. The scholarship fund. You named it after Grandma. She would have loved you so much, sweet pea. She always wanted children to have chances she didn't get. Emma cried, then really cried, and I held her like I did when she was little and had skinned her knee or had a bad dream. I don't want to go to MIT in the fall, she said finally. I can't accept it. Not after what I did, what I let them do to you. Yes, you can, and you will. That scholarship is for students who deserve it, and you do. Your grandmother would be proud of you, Emma. So am I. What about Mom and Dad? What about them? Aren't you going to, I don't know, cut them off or something? Make them apologize? I thought about it. No. They have to live with what they did, and that's punishment enough. Besides, I don't need their apology. I know who I am. Emma visited every Tuesday and Thursday that summer before she left for MIT. We fell back into our old routine: dinner at 6, Jeopardy at 7:30, talking until 9. She helped me set up the scholarship selection committee, helped me interview candidates. One of those candidates was a girl from the public high school on the other side of town, daughter of a single mother who worked as a hotel maid. Brilliant kid, wanted to study biochemistry. Couldn't afford a state school, let alone Riverside and an Ivy League education. She reminds me of someone, I told Emma. Who? Me. Working 3 jobs, trying to give my kid opportunities I never had. We gave that girl the first Sarah Hayes Memorial Scholarship. Full ride to Cornell. Emma cried when we told her. Michael and Catherine showed up at my house exactly once after the graduation revelation, 3 months later. They wanted to discuss my estate planning. We're concerned, Dad, Michael said, sitting uncomfortably on my 20-year-old couch. You're 62. You've clearly made some successful investments, and we want to make sure your assets are protected. Protected from what? From people who might take advantage. Financial advisors, charities, scammers. Catherine nodded. We think it's time you brought us into your financial planning. Michael could become trustee of your accounts, help manage things. I see. And this concern is motivated purely by your care for my well-being? Of course, Michael said, but he couldn't meet my eyes. I pulled out a folder I'd prepared. Here's a copy of my will, my trust documents, and my power of attorney. You'll see that Emma is the sole beneficiary of my estate, minus the $5 million I've already allocated to the scholarship fund and various charities. You'll also see that she doesn't gain access to any of it until she's 30, and that it's structured to support her education and early career, not to make her dependent on inherited wealth. Catherine went white. $5 million to charity? The Sarah Hayes Fund will provide full-ride scholarships in perpetuity. Seemed like a better use than, say, a 3rd vacation home. This is absurd, Catherine sputtered. Emma is 18 years old. She can't be trusted with that kind of responsibility. She's trusted with it in 12 years. Plenty of time for her to prove herself. Unlike her parents, who've had decades and still don't understand what matters. Michael stood up. You're doing this to punish us. Because we made one mistake. No, son. I'm doing this because I want my granddaughter to understand that real wealth isn't about designer handbags and country club memberships. It's about using what you have to lift others up. If you'd learned that lesson, maybe you'd be in this will. But you didn't, and you're not. They left angry. I haven't spoken to them since, except through lawyers. Emma's at MIT now, thriving. She calls me every Sunday, visits during breaks. She joined a program that provides free tutoring to underprivileged kids in Boston. Works part-time despite not needing the money because she says it keeps her grounded. Last month, she called me with news. Grandpa Bobby, I got into the MD PhD program. Full funding. That's wonderful, Sweet Pea. Your grandmother would be so proud. I'm going to specialize in pediatric oncology. I want to help kids like Grandma was. Give them better chances. I had to put down the phone for a minute. The new STEM center opened in September. They wanted to name it after me. I declined, asked them to name it after Sarah instead. The Sarah Hayes Center for Science and Innovation. Emma and I went to the ribbon cutting together. Michael and Catherine were there but kept their distance. Dr. Morrison pulled me aside during the reception. Robert, I've known you for 20 years, and I never knew any of this. Why keep it secret? Because people treat you differently when they know you have money. They want things from you, or they resent you, or they make assumptions. I wanted to be valued for my work, not my portfolio. You've taught us all a lesson in humility. That wasn't my intention. I just wanted to take care of my family and honor my wife's memory. I retired from Riverside last month. 37 years, 8 months, and 12 days of mopping floors, fixing broken desks, cleaning up after privileged kids who never learned to clean up after themselves. The staff threw me a party. The students made me a scrapbook. Emma gave a speech that made me cry. My grandfather taught me that the value of a person isn't in their job title or their bank account, she said. It's in their character, their integrity, their willingness to show up every day and do the work that matters. He showed up for this school for almost 4 decades. He showed up for me when no one else would. And he did it all while building something bigger than himself, a legacy that will help students for generations to come. I looked around the room at faces of students I'd watched grow up, teachers I'd worked alongside, administrators who'd finally learned to see me. Michael and Catherine weren't there. I didn't expect them to be. That night, Emma and I had dinner at my house. Spaghetti and meatballs, garlic bread, salad from a bag. Same as always. Grandpa, what are you going to do with all your free time now? I'm thinking about traveling. Never seen much of the world outside Connecticut. Where do you want to go? Maybe Italy. Your grandmother always wanted to see the Amalfi Coast. Emma smiled. Can I come with you? I have 3 weeks before the semester starts. I'd like that very much, Sweet Pea. We're leaving next Tuesday. I bought the tickets yesterday. Business class for the first time in my life. Sarah would have laughed at that, told me to stop being ridiculous. Coach is fine. But I'm 62 years old. I've spent 37 years mopping floors and building a fortune in secret, and I think it's time I stopped being invisible. My son calls occasionally now, usually when he needs something. Last week it was a loan for a business investment. I told him the bank could help him with that. He hung up angry. Catherine sent a Christmas card this year. Very generic. One of those photo cards from Shutterfly with their family portrait, just the two of them. Emma conspicuously absent because she spent Christmas with me instead. The message inside said, wishing you health and happiness. Not love, not missing you. Just a formality. That's fine. I don't need their love anymore. I have Emma's, and I have my own self-respect, and I have the knowledge that 37 years of honest work meant something. The Sarah Hayes Memorial Scholarship awarded its 5th recipient last month. A kid from New Haven. Parents are both factory workers. Wants to study environmental engineering. Brilliant, passionate, exactly the kind of student Sarah would have championed. I meet with the scholarship recipients once a year, all of them together. Emma joins me when she can. We take them to dinner, nothing fancy, just a local place with good food. We talk about their studies, their struggles, their dreams. Why did you do this? One of them asked me last year. You could have kept the money for yourself. I thought about my answer for a long time. Because I learned something in my 37 years cleaning this school, I finally said. I learned that the kids who had everything handed to them rarely appreciated it, and the kids who had to work for everything valued it the most. I learned that intelligence and ambition exist everywhere, but opportunity doesn't. And I learned that the most important thing you can do with wealth isn't to accumulate more of it, it's to make sure the next generation has a chance to build something meaningful. The kid nodded. My parents clean houses. They're ashamed sometimes, like it's not real work. It's the realest work there is, I told him. Honest labor, providing for your family, doing what needs to be done without complaint. Don't ever let anyone make you feel less than because of where you come from. Use it as fuel. Emma squeezed my hand under the table. That's my legacy. Not the millions in the bank, not the buildings with my wife's name on them, not even the granddaughter who finally sees me for who I am. It's the knowledge that I spent my life building something that will outlast me opportunities for kids who need them. Respect for work that society overlooks, and proof that you don't need a fancy title to live a life of meaning. I still drive past Riverside sometimes, see the new STEM center with Sarah's name on it, see students walking through doors that my money helped build. Some of those students will go on to cure diseases, design new technologies, solve problems we can't even imagine yet. And they'll never know that the path was cleared in part by a custodian who bought some Amazon stock in 1997 and believed that everyone deserves a chance. Michael will inherit nothing from me. Catherine even less. Emma will get everything when she turns 30, and I trust her to use it wisely because she's learned what matters. Not from her parents, but from Tuesday night dinners in Jeopardy and watching her grandfather show up, day after day, year after year, in a uniform that society told her to be ashamed of. I'm not invisible anymore, but I'm also not defined by being seen. I'm defined by the work I did when no one was watching, the investments I made when no one believed in me, and the love I gave when it wasn't returned. That's enough. That's more than enough. That's everything.